Gentlemen, we're going to call to order Town of Lake Clark Shores Town Council meeting of October 8th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gregory Freebold.
Here.
Vice Mayor John Maples.
Here.
President Pro Tem Bridget Keating.
Present.
Council Member Taylor Materio.
Here.
Council Member Christy Mosbach.
Here.
Okay, if you could please rise for a moment of silence and the invocation, Pastor. Tonight, we want to have a moment of silence for Felix Rivera, who was 87 years, and Liz Estella's uncle as our customer representative for the utilities. And Mike Fitzgerald, he was 83. That was Mary Pinkerman's uncle. And Peter Speckman, he was 78 years, and he was a Lake Clark Shores resident since 1987. Pastor.
Our Father in heaven, we come to you tonight, Lord, and I do thank you for the privilege to be here tonight to pray. Lord, I read in your word where the fervent prayer of a righteous man, you said, availeth much. So prayer counts. Lord, our hearts and prayers go out to those people tonight that are on the other side of the state, and I'd like to pray for them as they're getting ready to face a monster storm. Lord, I thank you that many of those were able to evacuate, but there are some left behind, and I pray that you be merciful to them, Lord, and you spare lives and just be with them in a sweet and special way. Lord, one thing we should learn from all these disasters is that life is brief, just like mentioned tonight, these people's names. Life is so brief, so uncertain. And you told us be prepared to meet God. The only way we're prepared to meet God is to know Jesus. So, Lord, I thank you tonight for this community. I thank you, Lord, for these men and women on the board, dear people, who give their life, give their all to make this community a great community. Tonight, would you lead? Would you guide? Would you direct? Would you give wisdom? And Lord, they have issues that they need to deal with, maybe problems they have to deal with. They need wisdom. Lord, I pray for unity. Lord, I pray, Lord, that if somebody here has a different opinion, and thank you that we could come and express our opinions. And Lord, if we have a different opinion, may we all just disagree with the sweet spirit and come out with a solution that pleases you. God, may we be grateful tonight that we live in America, and Lord, and we get to live in Lake Clark Shores by the grace of God. I thank you for that tonight. Lord, I want to thank you for our police department tonight. Lord, I have a love for Chief Smith and his people, Lord, and they serve and give their life and they lay their life on the line, and we thank you for them and for your care of them and protection of them, and we just thank you for them tonight. So God, would you bless the meeting, and I'll thank you for it, and I love you, Jesus. In your name I pray tonight. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, audience comments. Tim, you're front and center.
Tim Daughtry, 1410 Keller Road. Couple things tonight. The Pine Tree Bridge. Closure. Surprisingly so at my house. Not a whole lot of traffic, surprisingly so. I just want to let you know that. I will say this though, there is a blip early in the morning where we do get a decent grouping come through, and there's some speeding. Okay, and I'll mention that to you. And because of that, I was really concerned last week that I didn't see one police officer on my street the entire week, except for our officer right here, okay, on Thursday night, okay? And that's the only time I saw a police officer on my street all last week. And he did indicate to me that he had been patrolling for the week on Keller, okay? But that's unusual that I don't see more police officers on my street, you know, and only saw one the entire week, and especially with the shutdown of the Pine Tree Bridge. The concern I have with the Pine Tree Bridge is we're a little over a week in and nothing's been done. No work's been done. Okay, I walked the bridge on Sunday. Absolutely no work had been done all last week. Okay, the only thing that was done was the barricades, delivery of equipment, and some booms put in the water. That's all that was done all last week. Okay, that's all the work that was done at the bridge. Okay, that's of extreme concern to me that we lost a week. It's even more concerning considering we're going to lose this entire week because of weather. So we've shut the bridge down for 2 weeks and accomplished nothing in 2 weeks' time. Okay, nothing in 2 weeks' time. We've lost a half a month out of a 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months project. Okay. That's a concern to me because it's an imposition on a lot of people in town. Okay. For me, it's not a big deal. I'm at Keller Bridge, so I go out 8th Street and I get on 95 fairly easy there, and anything I need to go back the other way, I go around I'm towards the bottom of Pine Tree, and I can get around the lake and out to Florida Mango. Maybe 3 minutes additional, maybe 4 minutes additional. Okay. And because Florida Mango light turns more regularly than our Pine Tree light, for me, it's not a huge imposition. It's an imposition for the people that are up further into town towards the top of Pine Tree. Okay. And it's a concern to me. And I noticed today too, that Pine Tree was shut down for a certain period of time because some police activity, Chief?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay,
That it's not a public discussion.
it's not a public discussion. Okay, well,
I'm sorry you were inconvenienced.
I wasn't inconvenienced, but it's a concern for me, for people at the top end, Pine Tree, if we do have a health situation up there, okay? And Pine Tree shut down, how those people are going to get in and out. Okay, how is an ambulance going to get in and out if Pine Tree shut? Okay, that's a problem. Okay, just pointing it out. Okay, it doesn't affect me. It affects the people up at the top end of the lake on Pine Tree. This was brought up last week, the last meeting. Septic to sewer petition. Long past time that we do a survey of the people in town, whether they are for or against this, okay? Long past time. Jen was asked to come up with a certain number of names on the petition. She did. And we still can't take that to all the residents to see where they stand when it comes to the septic to sewer, okay? I mean, based on conversations up here from most of the people up here, it's going forward, okay? Well, we need to know what the residents feel about the septic to sewer, okay? And I've said it and I'll say it and I'll say it again and again and again. I've been on septics, I've been on sewers, okay? I'd much rather be on sewer. I'm a supporter of sewage, using a sewage system. However, I don't support how it's planned out or how it's determined that we're going to be going forward with this project, especially when it comes to financing, because I know enough working in construction how expensive things have become. We found that out with the bridge. We're going to find it out even more so with the septic sewer conversion. Our residents on a house by house basis cannot afford a septic to sewer conversion. There's just no possible way without significant funding coming from outside of this town, okay? County, state, federal, okay? And we have to really go after that. We really have to go after that. And I continue to hear about state funding, but I never hear about the federal funding. I never hear about the federal funding going after federal grants. I know Broward has undertaken to do septic to sewer conversions on 1,000, 1,500, 1,000, 1,500, and it's due to federal grants. And the individuals in those residences are only having to pay for the hookups. They're not having to pay for the build out of the system. Okay, they're not having to pay out for the build out of the system. Okay, that's a significant cost. And then the last thing I see is we're going to talk about giving the town manager the ability to negotiate and execute a contract for a building official. I'm in that industry, okay? There's only limited numbers of those people in our county that can accomplish that task. And we need to be very careful, okay? I deal with Hybrid, who's our present building official group, okay? And Mike does a great job, okay? I really do. I have a very good working relationship with him, okay? His guys, hot and cold, okay? I'll be honest about it. He pulls from people that can't get jobs anywhere else in the county. And that's true for any one of these organizations, okay? They're pulling from people that did not get jobs with Jupiter, West Palm Beach, the county, Boynton Beach, Boca, whatever else, okay? So they're not necessarily the highest quality people that we're pulling from to bring into our houses and do inspections or being building officials for us. We need to be very careful about how we proceed with a new contract if Hybrid is not considered to be the one that would be going forward with us. I can work with Hybrid. I've done it for many, many, many years. And they, like I said, Mike does a very good job. He does a very, very good job. And I have a very good working relationship with him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
I share many of your concerns, by the way, Tim.
Any other audience comments? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Claudine Vasseur, Venetian Way 6904, Lake Clark, of course.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you to let me bring up some points. First, I would like to come back on the fines to pay when you buy a home. And I find it personally very irritating and unfair that the town will allow now people to be able to negotiate those points. The law should be the same for everybody. I received 1 week notice to pay $130,000 while I was out of the country. No way to negotiate, point, period. I had not a very good real estate at that time, and being a foreigner, I had no knowledge of those dues. Foreclosures have pros and cons. You need to honor them both. I want to add that all my 10 code violations were taken care of in 2 weeks, and still no negotiation possible for the fines. So I don't understand why somebody can come up and ask to reduce fines on a home. You know that when you buy it. Then for the police, I hear rumors about the police that they would like to change something. I mean, I hear it left and right. I fundamentally think it would be wrong for the town to depend from West Palm Beach police. I will even add that they should be able to add some police officers here and also pay them maybe a little more for the high risk they take every day. Safety is not something where you should try to spare some money on the AC you could. It's in the interest of the community to depend on their own police department and not just become a number, what you would be if you work with West Palm Beach. In a lot of situations, it is favorable to know that they know our background in order to interfere appropriately. Calling the police here They react very fast. You never will have that with West Palm Beach Police. There will be always another priority. It also adds a value to our own properties. People are looking for safe communities to live in. Sorry, I have a lot to tell this time, but it's been a long time you didn't see me. So, no, oh, wait, 1, 2, yeah. Then I would like, I came up already a lot of times since all the trees and bushes have been taken away in the park, and I am happy that this will be approached finally. Mr. Mayor,
I'm listening.
I'm talking to
I'm
you too.
looking for a note that's coming up about something. I've had this discussion with you as well.
I know,
So
but I bring it back because
you call them like me?
they were gonna be replaced immediately, and it would be only the trees, and it was in 2 days the totally thing. But I'm not there. I keep forgetting, but I'm passing on that. But what I notice, since those bushes and trees are away, it's a real issue. I forgot a long time. I brought something.
Don't tell me those are one of Calvin's iguanas.
I'm sorry.
Mm.
That's not one of Calvin's iguanas in there, is it?
No, I sent the bill. That's my next point. Is this clean? Is this how AC should look like? An AC filter?
I don't use those, so I'm not sure.
A question.
No, it's dirty.
This is a filter. I change filters once a month. Since those trees are away, I notice at home that I have to clean nearly daily, and it's all black dirt. Now, last winter, I finally thought I'm gonna take a filter out and show it to the town, but I kept forgetting. So now we're talking about pollution. Those are my filters. Yeah. So I live every day with my doors open in the winter, my windows open. So that comes from outside. This brings me to ask kindly to plant big plants in the park as they filter the air and the noise. Taking this in approach, I would like to see if someone of the town management would be able to contact the responsible instance of I-95. In 20 years, traffic increased a lot, and the rules should be adapted. You can see already adaptations done on certain parts of I-95. I do think well presented. We can argue with that instance. I have no knowledge who it is here. With that instance for the noise and the pollution, we're dealing with and ask for silent road coating. This from the beginning to the end of the bridge, where the bridge, where I-95 starts to go up and ends to go down. At the same location, they should put a wall, not only a low security wall. This will also affect our neighborhood. I am not talking only about me now. It's a quality of life and health. So I think it should be a concern for the neighborhood. Then finally, a couple of ideas. The lake cleanup day is a very nice initiative. I think it's nice that the lake is kept clean, and it's nice that such initiatives are done. Perhaps we could add a clean neighborhood day and help some residents, neighbors to clean their front yard, like for older people or people who are incapacitated, something, somebody that cannot do it or is alone. Everybody would take benefit of this because it beautifies the community again. Then let's call our town a clean town and make boards. Like keep our town clean or respect our town. Too much people throw whatever out of their car windows, from bottles to food leftovers, plates. There is no respect. And this is, this will bring attention to pass by, or some residents, gardeners, workers, whoever pass, maybe they will think twice before they throw a bottle out and just put it in the car in a plastic bag. I mean, we're not in Africa, for God's sake. I mean, not bad saying, but
I agree.
if you want to make a nice community, same thing for dog owners. I am one, and I would like to ask, clean up after them and don't embarrass your dog to be a bad owner. The kids, gardeners, and any person who step in it will appreciate this and thank you for it. Then the Lake Clark Town Village, I call, where you have the little restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah.
I noticed that the parking is always full, and I came to the conclusion that parking is used as a carpool. People drop their car there and go with another car to work. I think I can be wrong, but that's kind of my conclusion. In order to bring more business to the town, I would first relocate the carpool, perhaps because it's during the week, perhaps next to the church and the police department on that lot. I will make less parking spots
I don't know
where
if I
the
understand
shops
area
are.
you're talking about.
Huh?
I don't know if I understand the area you're talking about.
I'm talking the
by the
area where
police
you
department?
have, yes.
Oh, yeah, well, I understand that. Okay, I'm just trying to get a grip. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I try to do my best with my English.
I understand.
So I'm talking about that area. It's
Right.
full of cars, and it's not possible that it's in all these shops.
Okay.
There are way too much parking spots there. What I would do is eliminate some spots, make in the middle a big fountain, greenery, benches to sit around, in order to attract new commercials like a coffee store or something where you can dine or drink, maybe a little bar or what, something social that will bring people together, where you put, like, they should be allowed to have patios outside, as long that you determine, a style, but that it's nice for people from Lake Clark Shores also to go there and have a walk and have a coffee, sit on the bench, on the fountain. It's social, I think. It brings people together. There is no north or south. I think it maybe more businesses would be interested in such a kind of location. It's very sterile now. It has the potential to be very nice with the arcades.
Mm-hmm.
Arches.
Arches. So it has a lot of potential, but I think you could make it something cute and attractive where you can sit, read a book on a bench on the fountain, have greenery around. That's what I think. Then another point that I wanted to bring up, an idea, it's maybe the town could invite all the commercials and non-commercials on Forest Hill first to hire the hedges. And if they don't have, gently ask if they would put edges. If they put edges like that, and you are on Forest Hill, you don't see all those cars parked. Again, that will show a greener town. Well, that's it. Voilà.
Thank you, Claudine.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you, Claudine.
Okay. Are there any further audience comments?
I was not sponsored by the police, they said.
You've been watching a lot of political commercials, huh? You approved the message and you are not sponsored by anyone. Do we have any other audience comments? No? Any written or?
Yes, there's Victoria Prinzi online. She said, I'd like to say that we should have a vote, and I agree that our residents need to vote on septic to sewer.
Okay.
That's it.
So no, that's it?
Yep.
Okay, very good. We'll move on. We'll have an approval of the agenda. Motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Motion for consent.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Presentations. Mr. Pinsky, you are up. Please bring everybody up to speed on our grant process and where we are and what we're doing.
Thank you, Mayor Richard Pinsky, commissioners, and I am going to take advantage of this opportunity, not just to provide an update, but we are at that time of the year that we have to start thinking about the legislative session beginning here in a couple of months. This is the time that, as a commission, that along with your manager, of course, that you begin to think about what an ask would be, what are your priorities, and does that involve any asks or anything from Tallahassee? So let's just start with a couple of updates from the last time I was here in March. And so perfect. Is this a scroll like that or yeah?
Yeah, that's how it
Okay.
is.
It's kind of old school, but okay, I like it. So what's happened since the last time I was here? So now Senator Mac Bernard, former County Commissioner Mac Bernard, is now our senator. He was elected unopposed. Gail Harold Astris has an election. As far as House members go, David Silvers has left the legislature, term limited. And so there is an open seat. That election will be decided on November 5th, November 12th. When is election? 5th, yeah. And then, of course, Representative Edmonds reelected, unopposed, Kelly Skidmore, and the other ones have an election. And then the only other change to the county delegation will be the Rick Roth seat up at the north end. So the next slide. So this is always interesting. I gave you this slide in March, and I wanted to just give you a perspective. Every time I look at these numbers every month, it raises my eyebrow. So along the left-hand side, there was what I showed the commission in March, the number of registered Republicans. Since that time, the Republican registration statewide has increased by over 142,000 voters. The Democrats last March had actually decreased in the previous month. Since March, they've actually regained what they had lost. So a net zero there, and no party affiliation, which had gone through a decrease, has increased as well. Party registration, voter registration ended yesterday. And along the bottom is the breakdown of Palm Beach County, just FYI. Okay, next slide, please. So just to recap again for March, hope springs eternal, and we were hopeful that the Pine Tree Bridge repair additional money would have been approved. This project, as you know, we got funding in 2022, but many, if not most projects that get put into the budget, the overwhelming majority are put there because of either who you know, what you know, sprinkling something going on. Very few projects get into the budget because of their merit. This happens to be one of those few projects that got into the budget because of its merit. The FDOT had recognized that the overage, the increase in cost to get the bridge repaired and what that delta was between what they had appropriated to us previously, what was going to be needed. They met us more than halfway and said, okay, we think that additional $250,000, that's a reasonable ask. They supported this, which is how we really, it was a big way of how we got into the budget. We had a great story to tell. It certainly wasn't because we gave a lot of campaign contributions. This one got in because of its merit. And that's why we were so hopeful. In addition, Representative Silvers had communicated that retiring House member, this was one of, if not his top priority for the governor to approve. It was very disappointing that this item got vetoed. Not quite sure how this happened with FDOT support, but it happened. And this one, quite honestly, this one hurt. I really was very disappointed personally because I thought this one was in. Nonetheless, we move on, and I know the commission voted to proceed otherwise. And don't know if we ever went back to FDOT, but you worked all of that out. Okay, next slide, please. So moving forward, so July 1, opened up the the Florida Department of Environmental Protection grant portals. And in particular, we fit into all of the wastewater quality improvement grant. It used to be formerly the wastewater grant. Now it's the water quality improvement grant. And we've put in for 3 projects that are currently being reviewed by DEP. The first, as you know, is the Micah West, which is the component of the septic to sewer. And the gentleman is correct. It's always better to spend someone else's money than your own money, and that is our top priority. I understand the connection from the resident to the street, fairly typical, but we are trying to get money for the infrastructure and build out. That's our goal, not to have to go to the residents. As you know, this was part of that 4E plan after they determined that Lake Clark was an impaired water body. We had to then come up with a plan if we ever wanted to get any money to help build that infrastructure. So that plan, the Waterway Drive component fits into that 4E plan that we have put in the request for. That's a $7 million project. We're asking for a 50% match, the 3.5. And the next slide, please. I'll just go through these briefly here. And this is the second phase, or the vacuum system. And again, this is part of the 4E plan. We told FDEP how many septic tanks that we'd be taking out of the system. And this has a total project cost of $6 million. We're asking for the required 50% match. And this one is good because that helps create the infrastructure for future, should you decide, however you decide, for going to central sewer. This is really one of the backbone components. Next slide. And then, of course, as you recall, in March, we discussed a funny thing happened on the way to converting septic to sewer. We had not a good advertisement for central sewer. I will give you that. We had 2 sewer spills, and so what we did is we discussed it here in March. We went to FDEP with our July submittal for a cleanup of the impact of those sewer spills. And we identified what areas, how much acreage, the degree of fecal material, other things that happened to, we indicated it was on the bottom of the lake, what areas they were and what we would have to do it, basically using some sort of a vacuum cleaner to suck it up. This was the cover page of a 3 or 4 comprehensive proposal that we made to FDEP. A couple of weeks ago, I arranged for us to make a personal plea virtually to the decision makers at FDEP. And we discussed these other items, the 2 other septic to sewer projects we have in, but we also made sure they understood that this is not a match. We are asking for the $10 million for something that we did not do and was not our fault. We're not responsible for. One day someone will be held culpable, and at that point you'll get your money back. But for right now, we can't move forward with any environmental good stewardship of septic to sewer until we do this. We're going backwards at this point. I think we made a good case. I like to think we made a good case. The decision maker who was on the call asked a very interesting question, and that was, okay, but tell me this, and you recall this, Mr. Manager, he said, why would we give you $10 million to clean up your lake if you're not committed to converting septic to sewer? We said, because we didn't do this. I mean, we danced and gave him every other reason, but he made it very clear. They would like to see a commitment. We did point out that we are, and we've submitted these other projects. But I wanted to say that and mention it, not only because the person who's making the decision asked the question, but also to point out that the Florida Department of Environmental Protection looks at things holistically. They're not looking at just this. They're looking at what are we doing as a community. So whether you do it as a straw poll, whether you do it as a survey, however you do it, but we need to communicate what this community wants to do, one way or the other. It's not me. I'm glad I'm not sitting where you are, but people are watching what we're doing as decision makers. And so that has to be clear. What is our direction? What is our policy? One way or the other, good or bad. And then I can take that and I can communicate it, whatever it is, and make it work. But we do need that clear direction to be able to tell FDP. Dan Clark was on the call and pointed out the work that went into that 4E plan, going through the whole process to demonstrate our commitment. Let's move on. So thinking about the future, this is a good segue. So part of an ask, and again, I'm throwing out ideas right now. This is not my recommendation one way or the other, but one of your potential legislative asks may be the continuation of ongoing septic conversion. Another one, what other water quality improvement projects might you want to consider? And whether that's, new restrictions on the lake itself or whatever you want to do. That may be if the cleanup, we don't get all the money for the cleanup or something, you may want to make that part of it. So any kind of water quality improvement. And the third item is amending the enclave annexation statute. So as you know, there's 2 ways to affect the bottom line of the community, your budget. One is increase your income, and the other is to cut expenses. This item is one way to increase the income while decreasing your expenses, and that is taking advantage of the elimination of the enclave that you have in the middle of your community. As you know, we passed a local bill 2 sessions ago, House Bill 471, that declared the unincorporated area in the middle of Lake Clark Shores as an enclave. That allowed the statute to kick in that said that enclave has to be eliminated and through an interlocal agreement with Palm Beach County. So we did the happy dance and said, okay, good, we've eliminated the enclave. Your manager met with the county and developed the interlocal agreement. I was in Tallahassee. They were on the chopping block. They showed up at the county commission meeting. I thought everything was good. You met with the county commissioners, and in the meeting, that meeting dynamic took over, and the county commission did not approve the interlocal agreement. That is somewhere in the tune of $100,000 a year of income to this community, which would go a long way towards anything else you may want to do. Should we want to pursue, and again, this happened in the middle of the 2024 session, too late to react, to get a bill filed, to do anything. And we said, okay, we'll think about it for the upcoming session. So the next slide, please. So up on the screen and for you right now is the section 171.046 of Florida statute about elimination of enclaves. You have an enclave, you've been declared, you are done, except for the fact there's and not many people, I've talked to some other communities during session, and apparently we're not the only ones that have been rejected by a county. And funny thing that the statute never addressed what happens if the county doesn't agree. So this was some language that I had drafted and floated that seemed acceptable. I'm showing it to you now, and it basically says, if you're going to annex an enclave, then the county having the jurisdiction must approve an interlocal agreement from the municipality within 90 days from the date it receives the interlocal agreement. That would give the county enough time to get it, look at it, go back and forth with the city, the municipality, work out anything, and then that's it. You have the clock is ticking. You have 90 days. This would be no pride of authorship, but this would be an example of what we would be communicating to a lawmaker in Tallahassee, House and Senate side, to put forward to say this would allow us to go back to the county in a different set of circumstances where they would be obligated to allow the annexation to go through. The last slide is just an FYI. I don't know. I know Commissioner Maples has traveled to Tallahassee before. I know the mayor has. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Maples. So mark your calendars now. November 5th, Election Day. And then, of course, we're going to be up 2 weeks later for the organizational session. That's where everybody gets sworn in. And then following are the 6 committee weeks that follow, and we'll be up in Tallahassee every one of those weeks. You get a weekly report at the end of each of those committee weeks. Happy to send it directly to you or to the manager, however you, I think in the past we sent it to Dan and he circulated it. So however, the pleasure of the commission. And then of course, March 4th, the bell goes off and 60 days until the end of session on May 2nd. And so I'm happy to wrap that up and answer any questions. And
Richard, I have a quick question
Sure.
regarding the amendment. We need another sponsor for that, or do we
We
just
do.
submit and hope, or we got to find somebody to take it to the floor and figure out what's
Great
going on?
question. I swear I did not ask him to pose that. That is
Yeah.
exactly what I was hoping we would talk about. Typically, we would be going to our state representative. And David Silvers knows his way around. He's a great deal of respect, and he would be somebody we would go to. We don't have that now. I don't even know who will be our state representative. I can probably guess, but we're going to have a freshman, potentially a freshman Democrat. That's not the ideal sponsor to push something. Mac Bernard, he does know his way around. He used to be in the House. He's respected. We could probably do that with Senator McBernard. If we could find a Republican that likes Lake Clark Shores, doesn't necessarily have to be from this county. Sometimes it's better not to be from this county because there are other communities in the state. So that would be part of it, would be, I would be hunting and searching for the ideal sponsor to get it across the finish line.
Do we have any other questions?
The $10 million you referenced for cleaning the bottom of the lake, is that dredging or is that a different?
It's a vacuum system, because dredging, you're tearing up the bottom, seagrass, near shore habitats. So you actually vacuum that picture. Oh, I keep forgetting you don't have it right. So there, if you look at the before and after.
Yes, I did notice that.
Okay, yeah, so you'll see what happens. So you're actually vacuuming up like links almost, how the stuff attaches to the seagrasses, and you're vacuuming all of that up.
And it removes all the muck from the bottom of the lake?
Removes all the muck. All
And
the bad stuff.
I noticed
think
you
there's
mentioned
about
24 acres.
12, there's some inches, I think it's a 12
That's a lot.
inches maybe of stuff
Yeah.
from that sewer spill. There could be some legacy that wasn't from the sewer spill, but
That's what they'll say.
When you mentioned 24 acres, that would not be the entire lake, that's just the south end of the lake?
correct.
What percentage of the lake is that?
We said 30%, I think it's something like that. What do,
Yeah, I
can't
don't want to
remember.
I don't wanna
It's-
guess, but it's a big-
It's not half, but it's a good healthy portion.
Any other questions?
I just want to thank you for your efforts on our behalf in Tallahassee. I know we are fortunate to have your skills and your relationships representing us.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Mr. Mayor, Manager, I don't know how you want to proceed. I don't expect, a legislative agenda today, but I would say at the next meeting, if the commission can think about it, what are your priorities? There may be something else I'm not even thinking. I was just trying to get the creative juices going, and nothing is too crazy. As you know, there's 3,000 bills get filed and there's crazy stuff, and as well as funding. Funding is going to be a challenge. The budget is projected to have a $2 billion increase this year. That will be swept away mostly, I am sure, for hurricane cleanup. And I know this governor likes to put stuff away in reserves, especially if the two hurricane impact, at least hopefully just two. And then the next 4 years after that, the next two cycles are projected for $2 billion decreases. So
it's a deficit.
It's going to want rainy day funds and
It's a
whatnot.
big
So this is not, this is not going to be a large, but this last session, there was a lot of money. And then he killed almost every water project, killed road projects, killed our project, killed all the arts funding. So you never know.
Bridget?
No, thank you for your efforts. I'm
Sure.
sure we'll come up with a priority list before next meeting.
Commissioner, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing.
Great. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you,
We'll
Richard.
Be in touch. Okay, we have no quasi judicial proceeding, no public hearing. We'll move to unfinished business procedure to appoint members to various boards and committees. Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we've been talking about this since July, and we just want to give you an update. There's nothing we're asking for a decision tonight. We believe we still need to do more work on this, but I want to thank the council in particular for sitting down with staff. Taylor, thank you again for sitting down with staff and letting us know. A lot of council members have given us input on this. Just for everybody to know what we're talking about, it's how we appoint board members to our code board, our zoning board. Do we want to put a procedure in there? Because really the code, basically all it says really is we should have occupation diversity. So we should have architects, we should have engineers, we should have a business person, a realtor, but we should, but it doesn't say how we appoint those members. So one of the comments was, should there be staff involvement? Should staff look at these candidates, interview them? We did not find anything yet that's had any significant staff involvement. Well, what we did find was, we actually are talking to cities that like their procedures. One of them was that they put out a nomination form. The clerk does that throughout the community, and they nominate themselves and they give us a resume, and then we send it off to you all. And we say, we have a zoning board vacancy. Here's the list of available candidates. And then you can either call them, have lunch with them, interview them, and then you nominate them to the board. So we kind of like that one too. So that's just giving you an update. We'll do more research because there's a couple more we want to. We got some that we still want to talk to the actual city to see if what they like and dislike about their procedure. But we may not even need to change the code. That's going to be up to the town attorney if we just change some procedures. So that'll come later. We just want to. This hasn't been updated for decades. I mean, so there's no rush, but that's what we're working on. So if you have any comments, I'm here to answer them, but just wanted to give you an update.
Any questions or comments regarding this?
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Good.
Thank you for your input.
Okay, new business. Approval of resolution 2024-24, authorizing the town manager to make any necessary budget transfers between departments within a fund for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Okay, we have great news on this. We usually, every year that I know I've been doing this business, we have budget amendments, or they call budget transfers. This year, we pretty much would not have a budget amendment or transfer if it wasn't for an accounting change. It's called GASB, but don't want to get too technical, but they govern how we do accounting procedures in government. They're saying if a lease acts as a purchase, you have to record it as a purchase, not a lease. So what does that mean? So that means, I'll give you one of the examples. We bought tasers, new tasers and new body cameras for our police officers. It's a 10-year lease. It's $32,000 a year. This was approved by council, but it fits more of a purchase, and that we're financing it through a lease than a lease. So we have to actually budget the whole $281,000. It's not that we're paying the vendor any more money. It's an accounting budgeting thing where you have to actually fund the budget. It has nothing to do with money being transferred. The provisions of the contract stay the same. What it does, so why are we doing this? Large cities are hiding, or not hiding, that's a bad word. Some cities are being accused of having a good reserve, and while they have all these leases, now they're going to have to capitalize all these leases, and it's going to reduce their reserves. So that's why I believe this happened. I'm not too much in favor of it, but I understand why they did it, because they said, oh, look, we have this 50% reserve, but they have all these leases out there for a long-term leases, and they're not capitalizing them. So that's basically, it affects us a little bit. It'll reduce our reserves, obviously, by those two numbers, the 281,000 and the 81,000, but it's not a significant amount like other cities. Okay, a question came up of why are we taking the money from road and bridge, and does that have to do with the paving? No, it just has nothing to do with paving. It has to do with where could I have taken that money, because those are pretty big numbers for this town. Where do we have excess money? We had excess money in our funding for our budget number for our bridge. So we just took the money for the bridge and we're funding those two contracts. But it doesn't transfer any money. It's not reserved for paving. It's just an accounting transfer. So that question came up. I just wanted to make sure everybody got an answer. It has nothing to do with paving or taking money. We do have reserves for paving. It's called we get a piece of gas tax that is reserved for paving or anything for swales or drainage. It can be used for any of that. And it's like $250,000, but that has nothing to do with what we're doing here. So if we didn't have that, and then we had we think we'll have a last maybe overage on legal. We don't know for sure yet because we still get bills in late for that. But we've had a lot of activity on legal, so that might be $5,000 over. So we really didn't have any amendments if it wasn't for that accounting change.
So would you explain again how this You're taking $350,000 from roads and streets, but it doesn't affect paving? Could you clarify that?
Sure, of course. It's, right now we have, I'll put the actual numbers, maybe it'll make more sense. We budgeted $1.3 million to do the bridge last year. Well, last year means last month, right?
Right.
Because the budget ended last month. We did not actually do the bridge last month, so we had all that money left over in that account. In that, we budgeted a 1.3 million, we spent nothing. We only spent some money on engineering. So we have more than $1 million left over in there where we can transfer over. And that's, let me explain it another way. We have two governances. We can't overspend the budget, right? That's one level. And then the other level is we can't overexpend a department. So each department cannot be overspent. So law enforcement cannot be overspent. So we have to put money into law enforcement. So we have extra money in this other department, which we didn't spend, which we call road and streets, which, remember, I want to change that to public works one day, because that's what it is. And then we're just transferring it over to there. It's just to balance that we're not overexpending the law enforcement budget because of those two contracts, but it's not really transferring cash. It's an accounting thing.
Thank you.
Sure. It's,
Any other questions?
no.
Do we have a motion to approve the resolution 2024-24, which will allow the town manager to transfer budget amounts between departments to balance the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say, Joe, thank you. I know you and I spent a good time hashing that piece of it out.
Did I explain it well this time?
We, want to make sure, with everything going on that, obviously the roads are getting paved and the law enforcement have what they need and the budget is balanced. So, we went around the old merry-go-round a bit on that. So thank you for that clarity and thank you for bringing that clarity to the meeting this evening.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Okay, now we'll move on to item B, which is awarding building official plan review and inspection services contract. Joe?
Thank you. Our current contract ends November 12th, which is next month, and it is with hybrid, and everything Tim said is pretty much correct. This is a very important contract. We do not have internal employees that do plan review, that do inspections, and are basically act as our building official. We sub it out to a third party. We're too small to hire multiple building officials. So it's very common for a small to mid-sized city. So one of the things I've changed is instead of paying them hourly, I went out to bid on a percentage basis. I believe that is the proper way to do it because hourly can be, can you answer that question better? Manipulated. I said that because the town attorneys work on hourly fees, but not this town attorney. But so there's more motivation when it's on a percentage basis. I think things will work out quicker. But what I'm agreeing with Tim with is this is a very important service that the community provides. The inspections, making sure that they get the right kind of guidance through their construction is very important. So we got 6 bidders, which I'm very pleased with. The evaluation met. They evaluated these 6 firms and they came up with a change. We would like to recommend, or the evaluation committee would recommend diversified building department management. And they were actually 20 points higher than hybrid as second place. So what you do here is if you agree with the evaluation committee who basically did your job, I go out and I negotiate with that vendor and I do look for reductions in their fees. That's why it's an RFP, which is request for proposals. So I can still bid on that. I can still negotiate that contract. If you go out for a request for bid, it's basically buying like toilet paper or a commodity where you can't really negotiate a price. It's buying gas. So when you go out for requests for proposals, I can, once you rank number 1, I can go out and negotiate a contract with that vendor.
What are the terms besides the split of the permit fees? What that's the entire financial component to it? They
Yeah.
get a percentage of the permit fees and we get a percentage?
Correct. So.
And that's it. That's it. They don't get, that's their compensation.
Yeah, there was, if they did something very extraordinary, like today, if we had a structural damage during hurricane, we have an hourly fee in the contract, but it's very remote. So this is 99% of it.
And I see a very nice rubric in here but what were the criteria that upon which you judged them?
That's a great question. 50% was costs. The other 50% was two categories. Emily, help me, but I think it was based on qualifications. and-
Yes, there was also location and knowledge of our permitting program, electronic permitting program, and also references.
References, yes.
The references are important.
Yeah, you think so, yes. So this is a very important service, so I'm glad what we did here. So hopefully I'm going to have come back with a good
Yeah,
contract.
I have, as you may know, I've received negative feedback from residents on our current vendor. So I would be supportive of the diversified building department.
You want to make that motion?
I so move.
Mike, you gotta have to say that. Or do you want me to say it? You can move it.
I move that we hire diversified building department management as our new town, as our new.
No, we want to allow him to go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's right there. Just
Allow
say
the
it.
town, I don't know.
Read it. Go back to your blue
Go back to the blue, all right.
and then on the back.
Staff recommendation.
Yeah. And then letter B
Yeah.
underneath it.
Yes, I make a motion to allow the town manager to negotiate and execute a contract with the building official diversified building department management and inspection services, which was the highest ranking firm in their evaluation of the committee.
A second,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Okay, let's move on to status reports. Chief, we'll start with you.
You have my status report. This is attached if you have any questions. I want to address Tim. Last month, we did 90 directed patrols. There were no violations. That doesn't mean we weren't there when he saw us. Particularly on his street, I was on his street 5 times. One of the times I had a council member with me. We happened to be patrolling the town, so I went to the street. We have not had any issues with people speeding that we're aware of, except when Tim mentions that he feels people are speeding. Also, you have to remember that there are a lot of other law enforcement agencies that come into the town. Secret Service, FBI, which also access our LPR system when the president was attempted assassination. So anytime you're dealing with the federal government and they're in the area, I have to sign an affidavit that I will not discuss the particulars. So a lot of times when certain things happen, I can't discuss them. If it involves us, I can discuss it if it doesn't interfere with the criminal investigation. So if you have any questions.
Any questions of the chief?
You can't ask them, but you could.
Thank you.
So that was your answer in reference to him having Pine Tree closed and why you couldn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
close it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Go
Chief.
to the attorneys.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to Mr. Scheck's report unless there's any questions.
Do we have any questions? No, no questions? All right, Joe, we're moving on to you.
Okay, I'll go over the staff report quickly and then we'll go over the storm, obviously. October is the 2nd and November is going to be the 2nd Tuesday of the month, our normal meetings. In November, we're going to have a CRA meeting. Hopefully we'll award the contract for the master. We have a meeting tomorrow, but that's probably going to be delayed. But a little bit. We wanted to list all the events we had to the end of the year. As you can see, we're going to have a food truck event here on the 25th. So please come out. We got a movie night that night. The Addams Family, we can actually disclose the movie now. So that's going to be a fun event. We have, again, the decorating the house event. So that was fun. I did that with 3 residents, and we went around the town. We'll do that on the 29th. We have a tennis tournament, and the lighting and the menorah events, the Christmas event will be here at the town hall part, obviously because of the bridge. And so, but looking forward to having him here. We're still going to put the menorah and the tree in menorah Memorial Park. Thank you. But we'll have another tree over here. All right, Pine Tree Bridge. There is things going on, even though people don't see that. They removed the guardrails. They're working on the infrastructure, which is the gas line underneath the bridge, and they're working on the water line to actually disconnect the water line so we can actually demo the bridge. But the update, which I have been getting, I haven't put it on the website yet because I've been just dealing with something else this week. But
Small thing called a hurricane.
exactly. But we are getting updates, and obviously this week, unfortunately, there is going to be a lot of loss because of the weather. But they are working. I'm pretty pleased of what kind of people they're putting out there, and they're talking to us about all this infrastructure, working with the town on trying to get the bridge demoed.
Weren't they also doing some drone work as well?
They always do drone work. That's how, we'll send you those pictures too. We can't put them on the website. We can't really put pictures because of ADA requirements. We're not allowed to do that, but we got drones. That's how they inspect the bridge a lot with the drones. So we actually have a lot of pictures of the
You
drones.
said you can't put it on the website. Is there a way to, maybe if the public wanted to come here and?
Yeah, or I can email them to people. Anybody who wants pictures of anything, the demo pictures are going to look pretty interesting. So if anybody wants a copy, just call me or Emily and we'll get them to you. The bridge. Yeah. But we went out, we talked to the residents, Claudine included, myself, I was out there, Bridget, I saw Bridget out there to see if anybody wanted their house filmed, because I recommend that just in case of any vibration or anything happen to their structure of their house, that we have evidence that there was damage. So that went well. Did that this week or last week? No, last week. All right, so let's go on to, you asked me to go to the county and the state to request an I-95 identification for Lake Clark Shores. Believe it or not, I got through and they're considering it, but
Wow.
we'll see how that goes. But we have to make an announcement on anytime we sell surplus property. All we have to do is just say we're making an announcement. That's how the Florida statutes read. So Emily, we're selling equipment, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to sell some equipment. We usually use GovDeals, which is a government site. We put scanners, old computers. We obviously destroy the hard drives, but we put them on and people buy them. So that's, anything else did I say about that?
No,
Okay.
there were some computer screens too.
Computer screens. Okay, thanks. This is a big one, the barbecue. We've been meeting with some of the staff, obviously, and some of the committee members, and we'd like to suggest a change. 2 changes. One would be have it a little earlier in the year, a little cooler, less tense maybe. So we picked the date of February 8th. So we want you guys to consider that. And also we would like to change it from a Sunday to a Saturday. So those are the 2 things we'd like to do. Again, we have this beautiful movie night. So we'll have it on Friday night and then it'll roll right into we think I haven't got a lot of negatives. Having it, February is it's the biggest tourist month in the state of Florida. So it is a very busy month, but we checked with the boat parade and not the boat parade, the boat show, thank you, in West Palm Beach and other things that are going on in the area. And we like that week. The next week is President's Week. So I'm seeing heads. Okay, you guys like
Moving
it?
it to Saturday will be huge.
Huge.
Yes.
It'll be a big thing.
Will,
It'll
will,
help tremendously.
will that give our setup crew and our barbecue masters enough time to get everything done?
That's the first person we check with. The shows. Yes. That's important because they have to prepare
I know
a
he's,
day earlier.
I know that he's here all day cooking.
No, he's here from Wednesday.
For 2 days on at least.
Yeah, he's here for a long time. They do a lot of volunteer work, so thank
His
you.
boss will give him
Thank-
some extra time off.
Thank you, Bob and Paul. But they do a great job for the town, but he brings a whole group of people with him. This is a whole town event. So, but we're excited, staff's excited. We think, we just haven't picked the time of the day now. So we might go a little later in the day, but we haven't decided that. We just wanted to make sure you guys were okay with changing to a little earlier and Saturday. So I'm seeing,
Do we need a motion to do
No.
that or
no, just,
just make that happen?
okay, good.
Good.
Make it happen, too.
It's happening. All right. Unfortunately, the art festival canceled. I call it more of they postponed it. They just need some more time to put it together. So they're working on that.
When was the original date?
November 2nd.
Was that because of insurance that?
No, they actually gave me insurance policy. They actually gave
There's
it
some
to me.
planning issues that
Right. Just planning issues
they
and they
definitely said postponed.
postponed. Right.
Do you have any idea when
2025.
they're looking at for?
No, they're working on it. But I think that postpone is the right word because they're still working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
And they just want to do a great job. So that I think they're doing the right thing. We did schedule Elliot Cohen, who's our media relations person and consultant, about talking about the tagline, vision, and all that for next month. We're working on with the town attorney on your options for voting for septic to sewer. Talked about the master plan. We're working on the lighting for community park, and the lake cleanup was really a good event. We collected a lot of trash and debris, and can you believe it? That cute little turtle on the right. It was
No, it's
Is that a
an owl. Owl.
Owl?
I say turtle.
I was
I'm
just gonna
tired.
say,
I'm tired.
No, you have been working.
I am too
That's
working
the
with
funniest turtle
Owl.
I've ever.
What?
but you're just not sure, so.
It's a cute turtle. If you look at it the right way. No, I'm just kidding. So let's talk about the storm a little bit. Obviously, if you haven't heard from 5 o'clock update, it's backed up to a category 5, 165 mile an hour. It's a really bad, big storm, so be careful. It did veer a little, as they predicted to us, it would veer a little bit more south. So that's bad news for us. This morning, they were telling us we got a 60% chance of tropical storm force winds. As you can see, now Okeechobee County and Port St. Lucie went under a hurricane warning. Martin County went under hurricane watch, so it's moving more south. So watches and warnings is just amount of time. But it basically means you should have hurricane force winds in your area. So we are doing everything we can to plan for the worst and hope for the best, and we're praying for the best because this is going to be a bad one for the West Coast and people in the Central County. So pray for everybody, but stop putting your debris out. That's the first thing, because Waste Management's doing a great job. They're out there working, but they were out there late last night. I'm sure they're out there right now.
They
Still picking up.
were, as I was coming here.
Thank you. They're still working. I have a great relationship with Waste Management. They're working hard, but people have to stop stop trimming, because that is what, I understand, but you have to trim when we're not having a hurricane coming at us.
significant.
In our update, we did say we would find people. So we don't want to find people, but I did put that in there. Everybody knows, the mayor did declare a local state of emergency, which means mainly that we'll get some funding, but it also relaxes some purchasing. Let's say a septic tank, not a septic tank, a pump station pump went out, like in the middle of the night. I can go, if it's $10,000, I don't have to get 3 bids. That's what it means. It gives me powers to do things on emergency purposes. If I need a generator, maybe that was a bad example, but if I need a generator immediately, I can go buy a generator. I don't have to get 3 prices and stuff like that. So if I do waive or anything, we have an after action report. The chief and I will have an after action report for this storm. And then if I waive any of those things, I'll let you know. So to be totally transparent. But I think everybody's working good. The staff's been incredible. Can't be more proud of them. They all want to work, and they're all volunteering. Joe, you're sleeping here. I'm sleeping here. I mean, that's what kind of comments I'm getting. So I'm very proud of them. So we'll get through this.
Thank you, staff.
Have any
Yes.
questions for Joe regarding his report?
You're sleeping here?
Probably tomorrow night. Yeah, I'll be sleeping here.
To reiterate that you feel confident based on the updates you're getting and what you're seeing that there has been work done in the last week on Pine Tree. I mean, that's probably
Yes.
the questions and
Oh yeah,
feedback we're getting.
100%. Again, they're working on under the bridge, which is the gas line. There's an active gas line underneath there, and we have to cap that first. The water line, we have a plan, which we think is going to work, but not we. I'm not building the bridge, but they have it. But they haven't. But those things have to be done. But they took the guardrails down. Obviously, now they stopped because you have to stop.
Thank you.
Sure.
I regularly walk that with my dog, and I've seen them,
Yeah,
I've seen
I've
the
been over there
actual progress they've made. Obviously, we want to see a drastic progress, but it's not, they have to do the prep work before the major stuff comes. So just, as you all say, be patient.
They're
Yes.
working every day, and I can say.
I've been seeing them working every day. Thank you.
But,
Thank you.
under the bridge or.
It's under the bridge, right? You're not seeing it, right? Thank you.
Anything for Joe?
No, thank you.
Good. Thank you, sir. We're going to move to council comments. See, you're up.
Thank you. I am disappointed but not surprised about the Pine Tree Bridge being closed, what in my opinion is early, because if you look out there, their equipment is not, could all be put into one lane. It's just two big yellow John Deere kind of vehicles. So yes, I think it should have, that they could have delayed the closure by a couple of weeks. But I'm white and you're rice. We've heard numerous comments from residents wanting a straw poll, and I we've got to let the people be heard. I've done a lot of thinking about this since our last meeting. I think it has to be non-binding, but it's important to hear what people want, and I think pretty much know what the people want, but it's important to get it down. It should be, I think it should just include the 702 houses that would be affected. And I don't know whether we'll have to consult with the town attorney. I don't know if that means one vote per house or every registered voter gets a vote, or if this is somebody's second home, if they get a vote or not, that's to be discussed. And then I think it's highly important that it includes several different choices, because I think a lot of people are opposed to it because of the cost. So if we had three choices and said, would you approve septic to sewer if it didn't cost you anything? Or would you approve it if it cost you $40,000, but you paid that over 30 years in your taxes? Or if it was $20,000 and here's what it would cost you per year, and how we would finance it. And we might get different answers to pay based upon the cost numbers. And so that's just my thoughts on the matter. And so I think it's important to let the people be heard.
Okay, good. Taylor?
So there's, I think, many important things that need to be discussed at a future meeting, especially now we see how this all relates to our legislative priorities that we're going to have to be setting. But I know public safety, for me at least, really comes first. And I know this staff has been here. I just can't even imagine the hours that you guys have put in. And I'm sure if you're like me, you might have family members that you're worried about on the West Coast, maybe even coming to stay with you. So I just want to be mindful of everyone's time this evening and let you guys get some rest. So thank you all for all of your efforts, and Mayor Freebold also for the extra time that you've put in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Bridget?
I just want to say I'm honored to have been selected for the Florida League of Cities state legislative committees, and I hope to work and help move some of our priorities along. I think it was I was excited, enjoyed the networking people. I think we got a lot of good things on the horizon. So I look forward to working in that aspect in addition to working on the council.
Thank you
And
for
thank you,
volunteering.
staff, as I worked in, obviously I worked in a fire rescue and I know what goes on behind the scenes when you get these storms. And it's you do a lot of work on a daily basis, but it's significantly a lot more. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, staff, thank you so much for all the hard work and preparation that's going into getting us prepared for this storm. Thank you to this council for the hard work they're doing. I do want to echo Christie's sentiment about the vote and making sure that the people are heard. And obviously that's a discussion that we got to continue to talk about. But also with that park master plan coming up, Claudine, I think that's going to be a great time to voice your opinion about those trees and all the extra things in the park. I think your voice is going to be critical for that piece of the planning.
As I say, when I talk, it's not for me personally that I'm talking.
No, but your opinion is going to be important. Your vision
But
is going to be helpful. Yeah, it's going to be great.
the privacy point, that's another point. It talks for itself. My left neighbor closed it totally off, so he can not sit on the park anymore. And the other one on the other side did the same thing as me. He put it, how you call it, Christmas tiles to avoid people looking. I say I'm done.
Okay.
When I want to do a skinny dip, I do my skinny.
Well, we will keep that off the record. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for coming and have a great evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Best comment ever.
I think we end with that.
All right.
Well, I told you.
Hey.
I'll tell you later.
You heard that, right?
Yeah.
You heard what she said before, Bridget? She actually came up with the tagline and didn't even realize it. All I'm saying. Look back on that. The bridge and the closing of the bridge early is my opinion, but in all the work we've done and looked at in the 3 years leading up to this day, the closure and what they're preparing to do for any demolition comes down to one word, and it's safety. That's why everything is closed and blocked. And I agree with Joe, it's a good idea for the people around there to get videotape of their property so that when some of this heavier construction begins, and it will, that there's no problems with your property due to that. I don't know how that will get handled, but it is not a bad idea.
I'm very familiar with it.
Make claims or things.
That's why I went out there myself to make sure that.
So safety's paramount. I've been going up there quite a bit. They're working. They're doing stuff. What they're doing is move slowly, avoid mistakes. We don't want to have a black eye like the sewer spills from contractors that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that's strictly my opinion. You did come up with a tagline. It was a clean town. I don't know if that'll stick, but it's 3 letters.
I wrote it down.
3 words, and we wrote it down. The minute we heard it, he wrote it down, I wrote it down. Well, she got that right there. Everybody look at March 4th, because in this discussion to have everybody give their opinion, which I'm very open to regarding septic sewer, there's a lot of things that need to be considered more than just costs, more than just, well, if you get it for free, would you want it? I mean, I'll do that. That's a no-brainer. Who wouldn't take it for free if it's free? But you heard what Mr. Pinsky said. We need to show, in order to get, if everybody agrees that the lake should be vacuumed, dredged, whatever you want to call it, which way, I think we can all agree to that with no doubt. You have to show an interest that you're willing to do the other steps. And in my opinion, there's more steps than just converting your septic to sewer, vacuuming the bottom of the lake. There's a lot of other stuff that the state and the feds are responsible for too. That I feel like you were just up at your first policy committee meetings. And when you go up to these over all the years, as I have, you understand what, and the approach that some of these other communities have done regarding their conversions, which most people, in my opinion, are going to vote with their pocketbooks, because we're all, who's not looking to retire? I mean, that's a goal. I mean, don't even you look at me, you over there. we're happy that you are, but we're also a little jealous. I'll just say me. But you see what I'm saying? So there's a lot more than just the costs that are involved. I would love to be able to have the infrastructure paid for it, and all we had to do was pay for a hookup. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. This time will come. It's just like the bridge, just like looking at it. I don't think they'll ever mandate it. I just don't get that feeling through all of the meetings that I've been to regarding this. Talking to everybody, I think what they'll probably end up doing is not issuing permits for drain fields. And then you're going to be out of luck. And then that's when, if you abandon this funding arm that we're looking at and trying to get through grants, through all of this sort of stuff, that's when, if they stop doing that, that's when you're paying full freight. You're paying everything. You're not getting a 50% match. You're not getting ability to put the infrastructure. And so that has to have some language in there too. Because if you think you're just going to bury your head in the sand and you're going to live here for the next 50 years and not have to address it, I have this feeling that that's not going to be so. Especially as time goes on, populations grow, all the different things that go. So I was concerned with one of those things. It said 139. I didn't know there was that number, but we can look into that. So what he had said there was he needs clear direction. That's what we have to come up with. Clear direction on which way we go. And in my opinion, it's the clear direction to me is getting free money, period. If you say, no, we don't want sewer, we don't want to go from septic to sewer, we want it, there goes all of your funding ability. All your grant opportunities are history. You can, I'm sure through Joe, get with Mr. Pinsky and find out all that information. Does anybody plan on going to Palm Beach County Day or Legislative Day in Tallahassee this year?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going, so it's always nice, and I know everybody works, I know all that kind of stuff, but it's good when you show up and you're making requests for money, that everybody showed up and they're unified and they see that. Like I said last month, or the last meeting, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, it took 6 years to get that definition for an enclave taken care of. 6 years. And I've told Richard, Lord have mercy, I hope it doesn't take 6 years to get an amendment on one word. And it was shall versus may. It's really pretty much all it is, because we adhered to the county's direction by the book. We did everything right. We did everything. We had exactly what they wanted. We got it. We did all of our homework. We dotted our I's, we crossed our T's, and they still went against it. So that's pretty much on them. That's a political thing, in my opinion, which, I mean, I understand. Who's going to vote to do that kind of stuff? No one. So if you want it, like somebody else had also said about going further north for annexation, but you have to start somewhere. And that's just my opinion. And Richard can help all of us with that. And that's one of the nice things. When we go to Tallahassee, we have his ear, and you see how he operates and how he operates within the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and everything, and the respect and things that he gets. So that's all just food for thought. Like you said, this is coming up. You had your first legislative policy meeting. I had mine. This is where you start gaining traction and start figuring out, okay, what can my asks be that I think they're going to be like embracing of? Not, it's just the feel I get from the people in Tallahassee. So that being said, I see we've got Elliot on there to start with this tagline thing. That'll take a while too. There is on here a thing for Coulier and Hearing, which is going to be for master planning the parks. So that's on the agenda. That company was approved. We all approved that company. So now that process begins. Bridget and I on the talked about allowing the foliage to grow up on the sound wall that's there, to allow that stuff to actually absorb some of the sound, to absorb some of the dust. At my house, I have the same thing. I don't live with my doors and windows open like you do.
And you don't eat so close.
Well, as the bird flies or the crow flies, possibly you are closer than me. However, I still hear it and I still get dirt.
Okay.
So
I want to tell you, I used to go with the dog in park.
Yep.
So I'm used to what I'm used. Now I have to go Pine Tree Stadium. Well, a bit farther on, sorry, Venetian. Now I
Mhm.
take Venetian and then go Venetian till the end and turn back, I come back. Well, a bit further than the middle, you don't hear so much anymore than what you hear where I am.
Well, that's because by you, it opens up at that interchange. And if your wall that you
Yes,
talked
and
about, let me
no,
tell you, you can
no,
go to Tallahassee and you can
no.
make a request for that. You do know that, right?
I-95 comes down.
I know,
there.
that's an intersection and that's where it opens up and that's where it's allowed to get through.
And also the trees in front of the rain, of the train. You know, the wall in front of the train,
Right?
the trees there, the vegetation is thicker and higher.
Well, we've talked about what we can do to allow that to grow more.
Well, every time, I mean, I make fun of it. Because,
Because you've been going after me about this for 10 years and nothing's happened.
well, you know, politicians, you have to be strong.
Slow, steady steps, Claudine.
Yes.
And you know I
I'm
understand. You
very-
know
I'm
I'm joking
very
with you
good on
because
that.
I always come over there and talk to you and see. But that's the situation.
I know, that's not what I'm saying. No, the point is that, first of all, the piece of land is not as wide in front of that wall than on the right.
Right.
Further right. Secondly, what I'm laughing at is that there is a hedge. And I'm always happy to see that hedge grow, and finally, I don't see the graffiti on the wall anymore. And I'm like, oh, I'm happy. Finally, that's go again. 2 weeks later, whoa.
Well, we've
Again,
talked about
just
that because
like
we've
it
been required to maintain that. So that's a piece of land. They put requirements on us and things we must do. So that's one of those things that we're looking at. So,
Yeah, but there are, I mean, so they prefer graffiti?
no, we don't prefer any of it, but guess what? Things happen. And that's, we are just looking at ways to be able to, because I agree. I've had this discussion with the chief. They go out there, they do it. They're putting it on more visible areas. So we're working on it. Okay, one last thing real quick. Happy Halloween. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
So moved. Thank you,
Second.
everybody. Have a good evening. Nice to see you, Jeff.